Wasn't expecting this much. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. So, I can't promise anything that you could probably learn new from my presentation, but possibly one thing. At the end of this presentation, you all get a free lunch. Okay. Ever wondered? Ever ordered online? Anybody who orders online? Well, that's my wife. Right after ordering online, she's looking for where's the parcel. Well, that was me as well at some point before joining an e-commerce company and realizing how much it goes in the background when you order, how many hoops things have to go before you reach the parcel, and how much things the QA need to ensure before or making sure that you can, uh, get the product safely and the right product. Okay, a bit about myself. I am Hitesh Kataria. Been a QA for the last 15 years, worked across 3 continents. Um, I am quite a cricket fan, as you can see. Also love DJing. I DJ for a community called OurYourHouse that works for mental health fitness through house music. So if you're fancy, I'm there once a month in Manchester. I'm also a mental health first aider. So yeah, and I'm quite excited, like a nerd about Excel tools. All right. So if you ever fancy, just hit me up and I can talk lots and lots about it. Yeah, and I work as a group QA manager at Creuset. So I joined there about 11 months ago. If you've heard about it, it's the fancy, colorful pan company. And one of the key reasons for joining that was definitely not my wife pressuring me for discounts. But yes, one of the biggest challenge was joining a new QA organization, a team that was going through a QA transformation and a lot of challenges like many other companies. So I'm here to show what I have been up to for the last 11 months, what my learnings are, and maybe something that you can take away from it. All right, are we all in? All right, thank you. So, you might have heard about this approach called ideal, right? So this is something I wanted to implement. It's kind of a structured approach to tackling a situation, a challenge, and a structured way to see how you can make a change. And you can implement to anything. At least I've done it, trying to work out my personal life, and yeah, but definitely works at the workplace. So first thing, the I, which is initiate, right? When I joined Le Creuset, one of the key things was for me to definitely not just start buying products, but also to learn the business, learn what they're all about, what the people do, what we are doing, and where the challenges are. So definitely, we've got about over 600 retail stores across 40 plus countries, across 5 continents. We've got a enterprise of applications from like ERP solutions, from supply chain products, Microsoft D365, Group AX, and whatnot, like a complex system of the wholesale APIs, and so it intertwines into a very complex system which requires a thorough QA and also like a proper quality assurance across the delivery. And we work with people across the world, so there are different time zones, different localizations, different languages involved, and we're all following different processes. So that was like one of the key things that I started to work on, realize what we are, where we are, and how do we need to, sort of improve. So the second thing was to diagnose. So obviously I've learned about the business, I've learned about what my team's doing. So I needed to understand where those pain points are and what is the cause of those pain points. So when I started to delve into some of my previous projects that the team's done, one of my key takeout from that was a lot of testing was being done by the business. The testing was almost like a gatekeeping activity, like, here you go, do these 100 test cases. But, of course, we're not putting the actual QA in that. We were not doing a lot of, like, the key things that we need to do as a quality, quality assurance team, which is to risk assess, which is to, to see where do we need to bring in the testing to shift left. And that was, quite evident from the amount of defects we were finding in UAT. So that brought a lot of frustration with the business because 83% of the defects were found too late in the delivery, shifting timelines, and of course, leading to a lot of production challenges and issues. So, of course, we had to deal with all of this within that complex ecosystem to develop the team to not just, of course, have more efficient testing processes, but also to see how we can do these better and faster. And obviously, when we have to speed up, we need to think about automation. We need to think about risk-based testing, like Udemy said. And also, we need to think about how we can reuse stuff. We need to own the process. And that's where we need to bring all those changes within the QA. Well, the next one was to establish. Now we've understood to some extent what those challenges were. So we needed to establish them properly so we can start to work on them. So obviously, working with the new QA team and setting up a QA strategy is almost like joining, a kindergarten as a new teacher. The kids, miss their old teacher, and they don't want to do their homework again. So first thing was to, of course, set the narrative. What we're trying to achieve, what does quality looks like, right? Where do we want to go at a certain point? What are our milestones in the roadmap? And obviously then, set the vision, because we can't just achieve things with process. We can't just achieve things with tools and technology. We need to intertwine everything together and bring the team together on that journey, because it's important that the team has and share the same vision as you are and the business. Yes, act. Well, I strongly believe, obviously, innovation, and again, this could be controversial, but innovation is not always equal to improvement. So you could, keep innovating, but you not improve. So it's important that you act and start to, of course, implement those things that you want to change. Some would work out, some might not, right? So obviously, we will not always have one way of doing things. We'll not always have the foolproof method to fixing things. But unless you act, that's how I believe, like, you learn and you get the feedback that what works and what doesn't. So I don't know if you can read it, but this is an interesting quote that I saw online. You'll never feel ready. Ready is a decision. It's not a feeling. So you have to act. You have to think about implementing stuff, even if it's half-baked. You're not fully sure. The only thing that I always say to my team and anybody, like, who thinks that, why are we doing this? And I would say, like, there's only one way of finding it out, to try and do it. So the thought was, obviously, like I said, not every idea would lead you to where you want to be and give you the outcome that you want. So it's always, like, helpful, like in my experience, to start small. So do the proof of concept was my first approach. So take a small project, think about the changes we want to bring in, and of course, gradually phase it one iteration at a time. And then eventually, of course, we gather enough feedback. Think about, like, don't think about doing the perfect thing, but rather fail fast and fail often. And then, of course, learn from what you are doing. And eventually, of course, focus on collaboration, because like I said, you can't, like, if you, I don't remember the code exactly, but obviously, if you want to go like faster, you run. But if you want to go farther, you go as a team, you go together, right? That's why it's important that you collaborate. It's important that you work together. And that's why it's important, like, not just within like one domain, it's the cross functional collaboration is equally important, because we need to, of course, discuss stuff with the devs, discuss stuff with the infra teams of the challenges that we're facing, and then, of course, finding a solution as a team. So the key things that we did in order to tackle this, of course, was to have that collaboration rhythm, workshops, whatnot, like functional workshops, buddy system with the team, like training the trainers. So we first set up, like, I had two streams set up within my QA team. One was the enablement function, the other one is delivery. So the delivery is focusing on delivering the projects. They are hands-on and on the flow, delivering, to the daily needs of different delivering projects. And then the enablement team is focusing on how do we make these things better. They are automating stuff. They are, training the delivery team to, implement automation frameworks. They are implementing processes and, like standard documentation. So this is, in a way, we're trying to implement in flight, but also they have got the support structure which is required to make sure that they're not alone. They're not being, just handed over something that they have to figure it out how they implement it. So yeah, and regular workshops and knowledge sharing is definitely helpful. It's important to gather. That's how I learned, like, it's not just about, here you go, this is how we need to do it, but rather, okay, have you tried this? What did you learn? What did you think about it? Is there a way that you think that we can do it better? Let's talk about it. So that's how, we work in, like, in my team, we have like monthly connects. We meet in person, and, we have a discussion about, okay, this is working well, this is not working well, this is how we can probably do better. So, people take away. It's not like one person's job, definitely not one person's job. So it's like about, what all we need to achieve as a team. Okay, last thing, learn. Obviously, nothing like, you can't really move past or improve without learning. I keep learning every day, and that's how, that's the only way to go about it, because obviously I've not managed a team of 30 before. This is the first time managing it. So I'll probably learn through, how things are going. I probably learn from them, they learn from me. That's how it goes. So, and gathering feedback, it's not just about gathering about one topic. It's obviously discussions, like gathering feedback from the project teams, how things are, gathering feedback in terms of KPIs. Like, it's not just about how people are feeling or how they are doing. It's also about actual stats, like how much defect leakage we are getting, are we improving, how much automation coverage we are getting, what kind of defects we are getting, doing the root cause analysis. Okay, in my last 6 months, my highest cause of defects has been environments. So I'll go on and discuss this with my environments team, my release team. See, these are my issues. This is my pain point. Do you think we can do anything about it? Is there any way we can stabilize our releases better? Is there anything I can involve and include, continuous testing into our release process, so we can make sure that we are deploying correctly in the first time? So there are a lot of things, right? Obviously, and it's part of the journey. It's not like one day's job. It's not like 1 month's job. It's a gradual process. It's a continuous thing, and you just keep learning. So this is the impact so far. Obviously, when like I said, the QA team was more like the gatekeepers. One of the key things that we started to do was to focus on defect prevention. We wanted to, of course, go back and retrospect on how things have done, and of course, try to make a change next time, do a little better next time, and of course, with those little changes, we eventually bring a bigger impact. Uh, have the automation first mindset. Obviously, we needed the time. It's not about just saving time and delivering faster. It's about getting, so you could automate things that you can, which gives you more time to think about how you can improve your quality. So that's what I'd say. Like, I don't want you to just speed up things. I want you to think about how can you deliver better? How can you make sure that the quality of your testing and the quality of your delivery is better than last time? So that's what makes a difference. And then, of course, the emphasis needs to be on governance, quality gates, and reusability, because no point just you like reinventing the wheel when you can like, okay, we agreed on we're going to set this standard, we probably reuse stuff, because again we're saving time from these reinventing stuff every time, and then focusing on things that really matters. It's about risk assessing, the impact assessment about the changes, to really make sure that we are testing the right things in the right time. So one of the key impact we had is we managed to get our regression packs automated across 20 countries. That's being run unattended every 3 weeks when we deploy to our staging environment. And you could see like some of the metrics there, right? So we had like roughly 800 test cases executed in 8 months, roughly to 800 test cases a day. So this is all, of course, it didn't happen in a day. Obviously, over the time when we worked on it, the team worked on it, and we realized that how automation can help us speed up things that we can't really do manually every time, and then of course think about how we do or focus on other things. And obviously, this helped us improve speed, reliability, and confidence in our go lives, and really made an impact. So key learnings, consistency trumps passion. Like, you could be passionate about 100 things, but if you're not consistent, you really can't know how far you can go. So it's important to be consistent, keep trying, and of course, making that small change over and over again. And prioritize enablement before scale, because like I said, we don't know what will work, what will not. So when we started off, we wanted to make sure that we have an enablement, which is a support structure for the delivery teams, and then start to scale up and move across from one project to another. You can't automate what you can't understand, obviously. So it's important, the domain, understanding the business, the purpose of what you're doing, right? I know, like in the last testing at Layer, there was somebody who talked about the 3 golden circles, like what, how, and why, right? The why is really important. Why are we doing this, right? Unless we know, we really we can't really think like the end user who's going to use the system. So it's important that we understand the system first before we start to automate. And the last is, strategy is not a document, it's a culture. So, we need to really inculcate that into the team, into the culture, to really make a change. And that's it. So thank you. Thank you, Lisa, players. Thank you. Okay, so I did make up for some time. I can take up any questions if there are.
Yeah, and nowadays we are all thinking of agile. Obviously, everyone is accepting that, and also we are thinking automation mindset. But when we are approaching in an agile way, we have a limited time for our testing, and we also have to adopt automation. So how we manage that situation? Obviously, if we are thinking of a good quality product, we need more time to test it properly.
Very good question. Well, what we have implemented on our ecom business, we're delivering, or like we're running these regression packs every 3 weeks. That's actually agile. So we're running like 3-week sprints. We deploy every 4th week into production, 3 weeks into staging. So that's definitely a huge challenge, because like agile says, you have to focus on people over processes. You have to outcome over documentation. So obviously, it's hard when you have to work on the sprints. I think what really helps is to factor in these as one of the backlog. Like if you are estimating something, if you have the automation first mindset, you would think about, okay, these are my 4 backlog tickets. These are the 4 things that I can automate and I can use it as a regression test case. So you can factor that as in return of investment, because the more you can run those test cases, you will be able to gain back that time. So, it's always thinking about when you're picking up a task or a change is what you can automate and what you can't. And obviously, if there is a case for you to run that test case 7 times or 8 times in the future, it does make a case for you to factor in that estimate in that in that sprint for those changes. But yes, it's a difficult challenge, obviously, to factor in, like, speed versus quality, right? And obviously, if the team understands that we are, like, it's an investment, that you spend more time in advance and automate stuff that you can, of course, reuse multiple times, I think that's a no-brainer. Right. Yes, please.
How do you standardize frameworks and processes across different sites, different time zones as well?
Standardizing, again, it's about, first thing is to, like, when you implement, like I said, implement in a project, we started off with one project, we can reflect on, okay, what made a difference, what didn't, what was like still, it was not giving us the benefit versus the time we spent on it. But of course, once you have got a structure, then you can start to, roll out that within across the teams and across regions. Like we started off with one of our key projects was in EMEA that we worked on, and now we are implementing the same framework across APAC, across North America. But it's just about, of course, once setting up the standard, setting up the, the outcomes, and you can showcase to set the business value of those changes. Then of course you can replicate that across the teams. Obviously, time zone is not always helpful, but it's just about, of course, factoring in that when you're working across the teams, then of course there would be things that you can set out the plan for that rollout. Yeah. Okay. Yes, please.
You gave an example of you've migrated a set of 800 tests that are now running on a daily basis. Is that correct?
Yep.
So in that suite, what are we talking? Is that front-end use cases, API, or a mixture, or what exactly those tests?
Yeah, those were the front end, like e-commerce application, but they were like across 20 countries, and we're talking about different languages, different localization, different taxation rules, different addresses.
Right. So sub-question then, how long does that suite take? How do you run that in a reasonable time? Because that's obviously a lot of tests.
Yeah.
How do you get the feedback from that in a way that's useful and meaningful?
So obviously, when we were doing it before, we were not doing it across 20 countries. We could only run across, so we were doing, like, accepting the risk of that we could only do 2 countries in a week. 2 versus, of course, now we are able to do 20 countries across in a few hours, and that's, of course, through automation. We have set up the assertions and stuff that give us the feedback that why, of course, we review that every often, that, what tests are passing, what are failing, are they truly, like, they are false positives or false negatives, in case, things have moved, elements have moved. But at the end of the day, we are trying to capture is that our websites are working as they should, and they are in the same shape like they should be. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yes, please.
You know your enablement?
What's it? Sorry?
You know the enablement function that you had, who was helping the delivery teams?
Yes.
Did anyone ever say, oh look, there's a bunch of testing people over here who are not doing delivery. Surely they should be doing delivery.
Of course. Well, like any teams, a lot of people would think that I'm doing the most of the job, not the others. It's of course understanding. Eventually, teams understand when they start to gain from it, right? Obviously, when people had to implement automation and they were stuck, they couldn't, go past a certain element, and they had a savior at any point of time when they wanted that help. That really made the case of that enablement function, because obviously they were not just building onto the frameworks, they were also supporting in runtime, like whenever they needed, or they're stuck with scripting, and they could get that help right away with that with that team. So that was really useful. Obviously made their lives easier and not just trying to fix them themselves.
So could people move from the favorite team to the enabled team and back out again?
Yes. So we started off with just one person in the enablement function. Then they trained like a new QA, and so she was dedicated to working on the automation with her. So of course we had like a roadmap. So once she trained her, then she became the support. Then the enablement lead could work on setting up the processes and the standardization documentation. Okay. So yes, please.
I come from a non-functional background, so do your test also cover non-functional side, as in be it accessibility or performance or security, these sort of things?
So at the minute, my team doesn't. This is part of our roadmap. We've just hired somebody who could perform performance testing. Like you understand, QA was not a proper function within the Creuset business. It was a new thing. They just hired a bunch of QAs and wanted them to test stuff rather than having a QA organization. So we are gradually moving there. We certainly do some non-functional testing in terms of security and cybersecurity. So we've got a third party who does that. But we definitely working on, and obviously accessibility as well. We've got a vendor who does the accessibility testing. But this is something that I'm very keen to bring in the QA function within the organization, so we have more control and governance on it. All right. So we are ready for lunch. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Leave that there. Thank you. Thank you.